Hi, everybody. My name is John DePietro.
And I'm Bob Zagami with the Camper Report Show.
On this Camper Report show, Bob, here's what we're going to do. We're not going to run away and join the circus, but we're going to join up with a circus that travels exclusively in RVs. It's cool.
Oh, I thought a lot of them did. Were
I
you applying for a job, or were you going to create a story?
was going to be a clown.
No, guaranteed.
I,
They'd hire you on the spot
they
to be
made
a
an offer on the spot.
All
How
right,
about you?
I've got Chris Dougherty. In light of the Titanic vessel that is lost at sea, we thought we should talk to RVers about safety, small areas and safety, and what they should be doing and thinking about in their RVs. And Chris is a national expert on RV service and technical expertise, so we look forward to talking to him.
And the first rule, I guess what Chris is going to say is don't take your RV onto a lake.
Right. Stay out of the water.
Okay. So we got those stories, plus we got the headlines. Where do we get the headlines?
From RV Business with our friend Rick Kessler, and Woodall's Campground Magazine with our other friend, Ben Quiggle.
We'll be back with more right after this. Stay with us. Thanks. Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Camp Report Show. My name is John DePietro. His name over there is Bob Zagami. I point over there, but the reality is we are about 1,500 miles away, and I am in a brand new Dynamax Isata 3 that we're going to do some test driving in, and we'll be telling you more about that in the coming weeks. But Bob, as far as existing news right now is concerned, there's a great story that appeared about Lippert, our friends at Lippert, who makes just about, as I look around this particular RV that we're in right now, Lippert makes most of the components that are in it. That's probably why they call themselves Lippert components. But they make mattresses, and a story broke about Lippert's donation of thousands of mattresses. Tell us about that.
Well, not only do they make mattresses, but they make 3,000 mattresses every single day. But the gist of the story is the continuation of Lippert's corporate culture in doing something good for others in the neighborhood, whether, at every one of their plants, they do volunteer work, they do donations, they help out in parades and fundraisers. And they did one in Indiana, in Elkhart, with a group called the Sleep in Heavenly Peace Organizations that dedicated to providing beds for children in need. In a group of 100 Lippert team members and friends and family and community, they got together with a bed build. They built 40 bunk beds, 40 sets of bunk beds for children in crisis.
Mm-hmm.
And then Lippert donated another 50 of their Somanam Comfort Foam Z mattresses to the cause. And this is just one example. We got to probably do a whole show on RVing in New England about Lippert and their community involvement, and other companies in the RV industry are following suit. But there is no question that Lippert walks the walk, talks the talk. It's not to grab headlines. They're integrated very tightly with all of the communities that they work in and all of their employees, and it's driven right from Jason Lippert, the CEO. He'll be out there digging holes or building beds or building houses. He leads by example.
Yeah, and I think it's important to point out that this did not take, when we think of Lippert, we think of Elkhart, but this did not take place in Elkhart. This took place in an area around Chicago that they have several other
right near Chicago, Forest, Illinois. Yeah.
So let's give a gold star to Lippert for their community involvement. Now, another topic that's making news, because when we talked last week, it was National Go RVing Day, and then we said it's the unofficial start of the summer at Memorial Day, and now our friends at Outdoor Recreation Roundtable have designated June. I always thought June was Dairy Month, but June is what? Great Outdoors Month, and they're doing so much nationally. It's an $850 billion economic impact. So this is not just people that are pitching a tent.
No, it started originally as Great Outdoors Week, and then the Outdoor Recreation Roundtable is a group of outdoor related associations like RBIA, like RBDA, like Go RVing, like the Marine Association, hiking, outdoors, motorcycle, and they have now crowned it the Great Outdoors Month, celebrating the entire month with a host of events nationwide, with all of these different industries. Our event for the RV industry was National Go RVing Day, but the marine industry has something similar. The hiking industry has National Trails Day. The National Park Trust has National Kids to Park Day. All these things are embodied under that umbrella. But as you say, $852 billion. That's a lot of money that we spend on the outdoors, getting people outdoors. And the more people we get outdoors from an RV perspective, the more RVs we're going to sell, because they don't want to take the RV to go do the things that they truly enjoy in the outdoors.
Yep. Exactly. So they're promoting it. And the interesting part about that, it's all these organizations joining together, and usually they're all different silos. The boating people don't want to have anything to do with the RV people. The RV people don't want to have anything to do with the camping people. But you know what? Like our friend Toby O'Rourke said, we have shared customers in all of these particular endeavors. And that's important to notice. The other thing I noticed.
And there is strength in numbers, because when they go to lobby in the government and they talk about how much money they spend, consumers spend, that's what gets the legislature's attention. It's money. It's funding the various projects at home. So it puts us right up there in the headlines with a lot of other industries. Absolutely.
Talk about this Rockwood video, this Millersburg. Interesting how the company can dominate a community.
Well, it's interesting because there's a million videos out there. We know that YouTube is, the most searched engine on the world, because anything you want, you can find a video someplace. But last week, Rockwood RVs, which is one of the older manufacturers in the industry, started to release a series of RVs called Rockwood RVs Present Millersburg Made, because the Rockwoods and the Flagstaff products are made in Millersburg, Indiana.
Right.
And these, I got to tell you, there's some of the best videos that I've seen that portray the people of the RV industry, the workers, the culture. It's a whole series of videos. I think they just released the third one this week. But if you have a chance, people should go out and look at that, because you're looking not at the RVs themselves. You look, we will put the link down below. But you're not looking at RVs. You're looking at the people in the RV industry, and every company could do this. But I give credit to Rockwood. It's the quality of the videos. It's the messaging in the videos, and it's like drove to Millersburg, Indiana, went to a bar, sat down next to a man or a woman that works in the RV industry, and had a great conversation.
Okay. And we also had a great conversation, speaking of great conversations, recently with our friend Monica Garassi from RVIA, and another show that we do. And we're going to put the link down there, because there's so much that the industry is doing to let people in Washington, from a corporate end of it, but also engage people through Go RVing, which is the consumer part. So
and lots of times the consumers don't see the people behind the scenes, kind of like the Rockwood videos. Monica is an outstanding PR industry spokesperson for our industry. She's deeply involved in the RVs Move America event that takes place every June, first week in June in Washington, D.C. They meet with legislatures, but she's just got the excitement, the enthusiasm, the experience in it, and presents such a great story. We wanted to mention it here, so we'll put the link down, but it's a great 1-hour interview that John and I had a chance to do with her on our other show, and everybody should check it out.
So that's a wrap on the news. We've got a great show. Stay with us right here. Where, Bob?
On the Camper Report Show.
Stay with us, folks.
right, welcome back everybody to the Camper Report Show, and got Chris Dougherty from Dougherty RV Consulting up here in New England. And Chris, I know you did this on short notice, and I appreciate it, but we tried to stay topical. And this week we had the unfortunate incident of the submersible being lost down by the Titanic. Small vehicle, small space, 5 people in the vehicle. It's a tragedy, and as of right now, we don't know the results, although they did detect some sounds every 30 minutes down there today. So we're taping this on Wednesday for Friday, so hopefully we'll have some good news on that front. But it occurred to me that, it's a serious situation, but how often do we spend time talking to our RVers about the safety side of RVing? We got the first day of summer today. Everybody's excited. Of course, your weather up in New England hasn't been exactly fantastic. But let's talk a little bit about safety and why it's so important for RVers.
Absolutely, Bob. Well, you make a great point there. Look, there's a lot of hazards no matter where you go or what you do in your life, right? So whether I'm in my house or I'm driving my car, I'm flying on an airplane, I'm at sea, whatever the deal is. But we, tick that up a little bit in habitats that we sleep in, right? And so we have to remember that an RV is a machine, and it's a mobile habitat. And so as a result, we really need to make sure that we're doing that as safely as possible. RVing is very safe. There are not a lot of incidents that you hear about out there, especially considering the number of RVs that are out on the road. But we can help prevent anything from happening or from having a bad outcome in the event of an emergency if we pay a little bit of attention to safety and to maintaining our RV.
Well, I think you bring up a valid point. Depending on which study you want to see, we got about 12 million RVs on the road, and there are very few incidents. But it doesn't mean that you shouldn't have a game plan, that you shouldn't know what can happen, whether it's a blowout or an accident, different things like that. So what are some of the things that consumers should be uniquely aware of? And in fact, train their own family, train their own friends that are in the RV.
So absolutely. So the first thing I like to start with is maintenance, right? Maintaining your RV properly. Anytime that you have malfunctions, you have problems that develop, that increases the possibility that you could have, some kind of an emergency, whether it's a fire or flood, whatever the deal is. So maintain your detectors. That's a very big piece of that. So you have propane, you have carbon monoxide, you have smoke detectors in your RV. Make sure that they're up to date and that they are all functioning normally. And they do have expiration dates, so make sure that they are all good, and test them every week you are using your RV. That's very important. The next thing is to make sure that you have a good fire extinguisher on board. We do want to make sure about that. The latest change to the RV code is to have a little bit larger extinguisher in the RV. And so, and what I recommend is, testing your extinguisher, making sure it's not expired, and then also adding fire extinguishers in each living zone and maybe in an outside compartment, which will allow you a little bit of an opportunity to stop something early or to be able to escape in the event of an emergency. The next thing is your emergency exits. So every RV does have emergency exits, whether they are windows, doors, or in the roof. So make sure that those all operate. You can operate all your emergency exits. So actually work the locks, open them up, and make sure that everybody who's staying in your RV knows how to operate those and use them in the event of an emergency. And then practice the same things that we teach in schools, exit drills in the home, having a meeting place on the outside of the RV in the event of an emergency. It's very important. So if you keep some of those things in mind, it's really going to help out in the event of a crisis. One other thing that we look at too is weather emergencies, right? So being in an RV is you're in a small habitat, a small vehicle. And as we've seen this year, and we've seen, we see every year, when tornadoes strike or even heavy straight line winds, macro bursts, that type of thing, is that they can pick up RVs and turn them around and do a lot of damage. So make sure that you're staying in touch with what's going on with the weather, right? So if you are in a place that is susceptible to severe thunderstorms, severe storms like that, know what your actions are going to be if a storm warning happens. Have a weather radio, have a smartphone. You got to make sure you have service for the smartphone to be able to alert you. And the same thing goes with the weather radio. You have to be in a good position to do that and know what to do if a tornado or a thunderstorm should strike. Staying in your RV isn't necessarily the best option, really, when you're looking at that. And the same thing goes with tropical storms, right? So we just started hurricane season. We have a storm in the Atlantic right now. Doesn't look like it's going to affect the U.S. straight away, but we're bound to have a tropical system. So you want to get out of the way of that and make sure that you're taken care of, and your RV gives you a good opportunity to load up and get out of the way of the storm.
Yeah. Have you noticed an uptick, or do you see more promotions of the weather radios? They were popular years ago, but the internet does go down, and with the variety of weather craziness in this country, you'd be driving down the street and get one of those quick storms. In fact, we had one down here in Florida last week that I guess it was a microburst, but it went over one town and it went over just one building. It destroyed $150,000 freezer outside a restaurant. Everything else was fine around it. That could have been an RV. It could have been something. So we can't take these thunder and lightning and flooding and hurricanes lightly anymore. And maybe more people should, in fact, travel with the weather radio. What do you see from that perspective when you go through your training and when you talk to others in the industry itself?
So, weather radio. A weather radio is an extra piece of hardware that people have to carry around with them. And to be clear, it's not 100% coverage, right? It is, most of the United States has coverage, especially in areas that experience more severe weather than others, or marine environments. A lot of people have kind of stopped using that because they have the weather alerts through their smart devices. And that's great. That certainly does work. But again, if you're going somewhere that is not going to have connectivity, try a weather radio. It's not, they're relatively inexpensive. Okay, you can buy them on Amazon. Sometimes, I know down south in Florida, you go into a public supermarket, and in hurricane season, they usually have some kind of a display of them or something like that, right? We've seen that before. And so it's not a bad idea just to have one of those in your RV. It's lightweight, it's easy to plug in. They're also battery powered. So it gives you a little bit of that backup, so that you can be notified. And don't forget to regular radio, right? So AM and FM radio. And so, a lot of us don't use AM radio. We don't think about it. Some auto manufacturers were talking about pulling AM radio out of their vehicles. What I say is, in the event of emergency, AM radio is the best transmission source that we have for the general public.
Yeah, it could be the lifeline that people need. And there's also hand crank. When we grew up as kids, Radio Shack always had those hand cranked radios. And
absolutely.
And I had a situation where I got a good friend out doing his bucket list with Yellowstone and all the national parks out west. And in fact, I'm going to have him on RVing in New England in a couple of weeks to talk about the trip and the photos. But he had a situation where he's got a big fifth wheel in the truck, and they were out in the west, and there was tornado warnings, really severe tornado. It was kind of like in the Oklahoma, Nebraska area, and he was able to get to a casino that had entertainment, and the casino let him park. I never heard this before, but they let him take his truck and fifth wheel into the loading dock and into where the entertainers and the buses parked inside, fully protected with concrete on all sides. And they let him go in there for the night, and he spent the night in there with no damage to the vehicle or whatever. And I thought, what a creative idea, and something else that people might want to consider.
Yeah, I mean, you can always ask and see what availability there is. I remember my sister and her husband, one of the first years they were full-time RVing. They drove from here, went down to Texas, severe thunderstorm, tornado warning. It goes off, there's sirens in the campground and whatnot. They all go to the tornado shelter, and heck of a storm came through. They did not have the tornado come through the campground, fortunately, but we've seen where that has happened going through a campground or a dealership. We had a campground right here in Massachusetts back
I remember.
with the tornado when it came through Springfield here and went out towards Brimfield, and it tore the whole campground up. And you can have straight line winds too that can turn an RV over, and it's amazing the damage hail can do. Our friend Bob Livingston, his friends had their trailer down there, their motorhome down there, and I think it was also Texas, and a massive hailstorm came along and totaled the vehicles.
Wow.
Completely, and just broke every window out of it and just totally wrecked it. So an RV is not a good place to be if you have that kind of severe weather coming around.
Yeah. Chris, what do you hear about a resurgence also on ham radios? Again, many years ago, they had a dedicated channel for RVers, but Mike Wendland writes about it quite a bit. There appears to be a resurgence. Can you talk to that a little bit?
So a little bit. There's two services out there that you can use for two-way radio, FM two-way radio, and ham radios is certainly one of them, and that's great for long distance communication and emergency communication. And so that's a prime thing. And I think there are a lot of people getting involved in it. It's very different than it used to be. And there's also a tie-in with that electronically, so as far as computers and the internet is concerned. So there's people that communicate, they can actually communicate through a repeater through their phones and things like that.
Didn't realize that.
Yeah. The other is GMRS, General Mobile Radio Service, which is relatively easy to get licensed on. And so that can also give you long distance two-way radio communication. There are repeaters all over the country that are being set up. So some of them are open source repeaters. Others belong to clubs and things that you can join through gmrs.com, or I think is the website. And you'll see the groups on Facebook and whatnot. And so you can have those communications not only through the two-way mobile or portable radio that you have in your vehicle or on your hip, but you can also communicate on some of those right through your cell phone. So there's some new kind of different communications out there. And if you're at all interested in it, it's definitely worth taking a look at GMRS, or you can go to the ARRL, the American Radio Relay League, online.org, and learn about ham radio. And it's not too bad to get a technician license.
Fantastic. So I guess this morning has been Chris Dougherty from Dougherty RV Consulting up in Springfield, Massachusetts. And he probably looks familiar to you, or you've seen or read about it before. He's written for almost every RV trade and consumer publication. He does seminars at trade shows, consumer shows like the Pennsylvania RV Campground Association show in Hershey. He's done them there. He's done them in Hartford. He's done them around New England. He's an instructor part-time with the RV Technical Institute. And he also is, right now, he's starting another program at the Worcester County Sheriff's Office. I think this is your third program that you push through there to rehabilitate and make openings available, train these folks as RV service technicians so we can place them in RV dealerships. So you're a busy man, and I know this was short notice, but did I leave anything out of your resume, Chris?
No, that's good enough, sir. Thank you. I appreciate it. And,
right.
Again, RVing is great. It's a great hobby. Go out and enjoy it, but just enjoy it safely.
That's right. All right. Thank you very much, Chris. Appreciate having you on.
My pleasure.
Bye now.
Mike here from RV Blogger. Don't waste hundreds of dollars on an external GPS for your RV. All you need to do is download the RV Life app right onto your phone. This app is so cool. It has RV GPS built right into it. So you can load all the specific measurements and weights for your RV. It'll give you directions safe for your RV to follow. And by the way, if you have RV Trip Wizard, directions for your trips upload into this GPS automatically.
Hey everybody, the big show is about to begin because the big top is right here, but the big show is back here in the motor home. Excuse me, sir.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. What about yourself?
I'm great. Your name is David.
Yes.
And David Larible, okay? And I'm told that you are an 8th generation circus performer.
Yes, this is true.
Okay. So David, you now travel in a luxurious RV. Now, in a business where you're in a new city every week, you have your choice of a hotel room or the luxury of this. What do you prefer?
I prefer an RV. An RV.
And why is that, David?
Well, because like you said, you know, we travel every week, sometimes 2 weeks, sometimes even every 5 days, you know. So it's just, I think it's easier, you know, because we have like everything in there, you know, our clothes, our kitchen utensils, you know. I live in my RV with my mom and our little doggy, her chihuahua, and, you know, it's also what we're used to, you know, like the circus, I believe, is, you know, we travel all the time, you know, and it's our life, you know, the circus, you finish the show, you go in the trailer, you know, you eat, in between shows, maybe you drink a coffee, then after the show, maybe you have friends over or something, you know, or like or a cousin, you know, we have some cousins that work here with us.
And your sister is right there, right? That's her.
Yeah.
Back, right. The Grand Design.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. That
okay.
One, that one.
So, this is really your neighborhood, right?
Yes.
From that perspective.
Yes.
And
yes.
a couple weeks ago, you were on Cape Cod, and you'll be what, in New Hampshire last week, and
yeah,
New
then
York.
we were in Maine. Now we're here, and next is New York,
New York.
Rochester, Buffalo.
Yeah, out there. So, the key to the whole thing is, if you had a situation, is this one of your?
This is my sister's.
Oh, that's
Morgan.
is that her husband?
Yes, that's it.
Ah, okay.
His name is David too.
How many languages does that dog speak?
I believe that he speaks 3, 4.
3, 4 languages.
Yeah.
Okay, so the key to the whole thing, though, is you don't have to pack your clothes up. You're sleeping in the same bed all the time. You've got your own toilet. You've got your own shower.
Your own bed.
But you're Italian, so food is important to you, right?
Yes, of course.
So you can cook.
Yes, I don't, because I don't like the kitchen. But my mom, you know, she does very good Italian meals. My mom is Mexican, so, you know, she does the tacos, the Mexican stuff, you know. Yeah, and my sister, she likes to bake, you know, we have the ovens. Yeah, it's good.
Okay,
Good
so
stuff.
so much better than the options.
Oh, yeah, because then in the hotel, you don't have a kitchen, you know, so that's also kind of annoying,
Right.
because you don't have a kitchen, you have to go eat out. Instead here, you know, you have everything. It's fantastic.
Okay, so in a situation, did you ever live on a train?
I did. Yes, I did.
That other circus.
Yes.
Okay, and how many years were you on the train?
I was, I believe, maybe 4 or 5.
4 or 5 years. So you had to go from the venue every time, get back on that bus.
Well,
Then-
we had our own car.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah, we had our own car, so we would, like, you know, travel back
Call
and
her.
forth with our car.
Call her over. Call-
Shirley! Vieni! Il signore ha detto di chiamarti. This is my sister and Red.
Red? How big is that dog?
He's 3 pounds.
Does she work?
Boy.
Oh,
No.
does he work?
Nope.
No.
Nope. He
Does-
just looks cute.
He doesn't juggle or anything.
No.
So we were saying that you guys grew up in the circus.
We did. We're an 8th-generation circus.
8th generation.
Yes.
And your headache is gone.
My headache.
You're
is gone.
smiling again.
Yes.
And you put your brother in front of the camera.
I did.
Okay. And he's doing a great job.
He'll delight you guys even more.
He even juggled. He even
Yay.
juggled. So the key to the whole thing is when this show ends, does everybody on their own get to the next city?
Not exactly on their own. We transport most of the people. Some of them do drive, and we do provide vehicles for them the people who don't have a vehicle to drive their own, a lot of them do have their own vehicle and they transport their trailers.
Okay.
So about half and half.
Okay. And you're happy in your Grand Design?
I'm very happy in my Grand Design. I love it.
Okay.
I love it. It's an apartment on wheels.
Yep. Everything imaginable,
you
right?
could need, yeah.
You got a
everything you could
satellite.
need.
Oh, you got solar. You got a satellite dish.
I mean, I have the setup where there's the living room in the end. So the living room can be
Oh, the high-
separated.
the high.
So it feels separated.
Yep.
So my husband gets his living room. I get my nice spacious kitchen, and then we go back to the sleeping room or bedroom. That's comfortable. It's nice and big. And then you go in the back, and then you have the 2 sinks. So each of us have our sinks, his and her sinks, and a nice shower, and it has the jets, the 5 different jets jetting all over, and there's a place to sit in the shower. Very comfortable. It's like really like a house shower.
So you should be a
It's very-
spokesperson for the RV industry.
Really?
Yeah, exactly.
No, it's awesome. It's so comfortable. It has everything that I need.
No, in the
And this one has a whole bunch of space underneath the.
oh yeah,
The Grand,
yep,
yeah,
yep,
the Grand
gigantic.
Design has the gigantic slide out like space to put everything away, so you can put away all like summertime. You take out all the summer stuff, and then in the winter you put everything away and take out all the summer stuff. So there's plenty of space to put everything away.
Okay, David, did you know she was going to take over?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, she's the general manager, right? Now, let me ask you guys this one further question. How many people are part of the crew here, with performers and
So
support
we're about,
crew,
like,
etc.?
40.
40.
We're about 40 people, I want to say,
Okay.
roundabout.
Okay. And when we say families, are there?
Oh, that's not including the family. I just meant working. So we're with the families. We'll probably be around 50 people.
50 people.
Yeah, roundabout.
Okay.
Plus dogs.
Plus the dogs. Does every
Right.
does every family have a dog?
No, not every.
Do you have 2
family.
dogs?
We have 2 dogs.
That brown one that just
Yeah,
came
the
out here.
Boston Terrier, and then my brother has another little Chihuahua.
Oh,
And then there's a family that has 2 dogs in there. There's another one. A girl has 1, and then both my husband's cousins have a dog. One has
not
a
both my
huge
husbands,
dog.
but both of my husband's cousins.
Cousins,
Right.
yes.
You don't have 2 husbands.
No, I definitely
No,
don't.
no.
One is more than enough.
One is more than enough. No, so my oh, look at a cougar right there. I'm going to send this to my friend
Yeah,
who's a big manager for cougar. Who'll be very happy to see that.
they have 2 dogs.
They have 2 dogs there.
All right,
The-
I'm gonna proceed
Okay.
with my walking my dog and then continue with the daily business here.
And I got 1 more minute with David, and then David's going to go back to
Yeah,
juggling
he's
again
gonna-
for a
yes.
minute. So, David, a lot of these families that are here have little kids, and
They do.
does it seem inevitable that the kids, just like you and your sister, end up in this lifestyle?
Yeah, it may seem, but it's not, because everyone has their choice, like maybe somebody likes the circus, maybe somebody wants to become a doctor or a lawyer, so, most of the time, everybody, they stay in the circus, but, maybe there's some rare case that they want to, become a doctor, like I said, a lawyer, so it depends.
Great. Okay. Hey, we want to thank you so much, and
Thank you.
let's
Yes.
end the show with a little bit of work here. And you never drop them.
Sometimes, unfortunately, juggling, but not very often.
Okay, so from the Flip Circus, thank you to David Larible. And how do you end performances?
A final bow.
A final bow.
Final
Okay.
bow, say thank you to the audience, and then hopefully they like the performance, and maybe if we come back next year, we will welcome you back here at the Flip Circus.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.